Hi, welcome to the Weekend Investing Daily Bites. Today is June 4th. Thank you so much for all your wishes today. Let's go and see how the market has performed. Uh, the Nifty was soft since morning. Bank Nifty was very soft, but the mid caps and Nifty Next 50 and small caps were slightly in the green. There were small pockets of excellence, um, outperformance in the market, but overall the trend was a bit soft. Um, we are closing this week on a good note. Nifty Next 50 is up 4%, primarily on back of, I would say, Adani stocks in Nifty Next 50. And the last 1 month has been good for all the indices, as we can see here. It has been a good 6-7 weeks since the start of the financial year, 8 weeks in fact, and the momentum still is quite strong. Although there have been warnings from Reserve Bank and a lot of other institutional investors, however the liquidity continues to drive the market, and as momentum players we will ride the trends until they last. In terms of the sectoral indices, metals took the lead today, and public sector enterprises were up. So HPCL and several other counters were up. There is news that more public sector enterprises will be privatized, and that is pushing up that sector up. Autos were up. Banks were soft from the morning. FMCG was down a bit, primarily led by Nestle on the recent issues about unhealthy food, etc. It was down about 2%. But no real sort of strong trend in any particular sector as such. Weekend investing small case performance was quite good today. ATH clocked another 1.5%. NNF10 got 1.3%. MI25 1%. For the week, ATH has been on fire, almost 9.2% for the week. And NNF10 is also very near at 7.4%. For the financial year now ending just about 2 months and few days, we are already up at 32%, 33%, 29% on ATH, NNF10 and all cap. So really good performance there for a 2-month period. And in momentum strategies, if you are able to get early performance in your portfolio, it basically secures your original capital to a large extent. So with the 30% gain, if you are hit with a let's say a 30% drawdown, you will be slightly negative on your original capital, but more or less you have now the buffer to take that hit if it comes. So this is the way you essentially keep building up your position, so that after 1 or 2 such good years or a cycle, you have enough cushion then to ride out any adverse situation that comes. So this should be the idea, to gradually build capital, and then to reach a position where you will feel confident that yes, now even if there is the worst drawdown which comes around, I will be able to sustain that and not lose my original capital. And then you are sort of in the cycle. Then there's no looking back. You will gradually keep adding to your capital there. So today I want to talk briefly about personal finance. I am no expert in this, so the caveat, the disclaimer is that this is not my field of expertise. I would like people to know more about this, especially young teenagers or people who are about to get into the into their careers or businesses. So every person, whatever he or she may do, will generate some savings, and we need to have some rules for ourselves if we want those savings to be channelized into some kind of investment. How much to save, how much to invest, where to invest, all these are things that should be taught at school, should be taught at college, but or should be taught at home, but that doesn't happen usually, and everybody is left to fend for themselves, including myself. I mean, I've been working now for good 26 years, and I think the first 5-7 years, even though I was in the market, I had no clue what to do with my funds, how to properly allocate them, how to distinguish between high risk, low risk, should I rebalance every year, many things that over time you realize that it's better to do that. So first things first, let's get emergency funds out of the way. So now this number may be different for each person. Some people may want 9 months of your expenditure to be set aside as emergency fund. Some may want 12 months or even 24 months. So it is up to your belief and convenience. But 9 months, I think, is a reasonably good figure of expenditure to set aside. And that can be set aside in the least risk option that you may have, and that may be just be the bank. So setting aside some money for your emergency and not wanting to do a risk return calculation on every penny that you have, that is not really wise. So you set aside some money, and even if you are not making too much money on that, or if you're just meeting inflation, that's fine. So you can't really max returns on every penny that you have, and this is like safety and insurance that we are talking about. So this is first. Then the next big sort of decision for most youngsters especially is how to allocate to their lifestyle. So with so many things that are available on EMIs, and the generation today really wants to have everything at the first go. Of course, in our days, having a car or having your own house or having all kinds of gadgets did not arrive at on the first year of your job if you were doing. But nowadays, because everything is available on tap, and EMIs are available and interest rates are lower, most people would have all these things and the luxuries of life right from the start. But conservatively, if you are looking to build a longer term wealth backing, you will need to remain conservative for some time until your portfolio or your wealth starts to generate larger component of your income. So in early years, in the first 5, 10, 15 years, it is best if you can curtail some of your lifestyle expenses to some extent. I always say that you must spend also, but and not reach the extreme where you are depriving yourself from the small happiness or small luxuries of life. But there has to be a balance there. So the thumb rule here is that, let's say you are at X salary, let's say 10 lakhs if you are drawing a salary, and now you get a 20% increment for the next year. So what do you do with that additional 2 lakhs? Of course, some of it will go in taxation, etc. But then a lot of people will just up their lifestyle by that much amount. If they were spending 6 lakhs and saving 1 lakh so far and giving 3 lakhs as tax so far, then suddenly they will go from 6 lakhs to 7 point whatever lakhs, and the rest is of course taxation. So try to not take up your lifestyle in the same increment as you are improving your income level. Only then your additional savings will start to kick in. And so for the additional 2 lakhs, if you curtail your lifestyle increase by not more than 10% and 30% maybe tax, etc., and so your savings can go up by almost 50% from that 2 lakhs. So at each step of your upgradation in life, if you are able to save more, at least in the initial stages, that can really help work to your benefit in terms of compounding all over the years, and you have a long journey ahead. The magic of compounding, as we've talked about, is amazing if you give it sufficient time. This knowledge and information, if you have at your early age, can really change the trajectory of your growth. So I myself had not been conscious about this for a long time. That I should consciously, save and invest and see how I'm compounding. I never paid too much attention to it, although I was investing here and there, but not really in a very systematic manner earlier. So this is something that you can think about and try to improve. So equity allocation, how much you should do. This is another sort of thumb rule that a lot of experts say, that 100 minus age should be your allocation to equity. So if you are 25 years old, maybe 75% can be in equity. If you are 50 years old, maybe 50% can be into equity. And as you go into your golden years, you can reduce equity, because you may not need that much return, and you also do not need the volatility that comes along with it. So this is, I think, a very good thumb rule to have. You need not go perfectly as per 100 minus age, but you can be in the region of near about 100 minus age as percentage of equity. Within equity, of course, you must diversify across high risk segment, low risk, or all cap or small caps as a high risk. So within equity itself, there are many options for you that you can diversify and create a beautiful portfolio there. Even lower risk large cap mutual fund portfolios are also good. Small cases are also good. If you are into PMS, then there are many PMS managers who are doing well. So many avenues are open there, and you should have distributed pockets of capital into different types of products or different sub segments of the market that you can. And of course, today the investing overseas market is also open to you, so that is another sub segment of equity that is available. So this is something that the thumb rule that you can follow. On gold allocation, I am a very strong proponent that you should have your age by 2 as percentage of your portfolio. So if you are 40 years old, you should have 20% gold in your portfolio. A lot of people do not agree with me on this. That's fine. But I have a very strong belief that with the kind of loose monetary system that we have, holding on to some real assets will pay off in the long term. And right now, of course, we have a beautiful product of the SGBs. That's the sovereign gold bonds, which give you a capital gains tax free returns and give you a interest of 2.5% on top of that. So I think long term averages have been near 11 to 13% CAGR, and that has really done a very good hedge for your entire portfolio and an insurance in case the money printing results into some sort of a calamity. So these are some of the thoughts, and there could be other allocations. I mean, crypto is something that a lot of people are these days wanting to allocate to. I don't have a very strong opinion about allocating to crypto yet, but very small portion if you like, you can do a speculative high risk allocation. uh, allocation towards fixed income, etc., is not much uh, of sense today, I feel, because the interest rates have been going down, and globally the bond market of 30-40 years bull market that we had has come to an end. So fixed income may not yield so good on international level, but in India fixed income can still yield some returns. But I think better than fixed income allocation would be if you can allocate that part of the portfolio towards gold, and you will see better returns than that, I think. These are all my personal views. I could be totally wrong on any of them, so do consult your financial advisor before you take any such step. My idea is only to seed some thoughts in your mind so that you can research more and deep dive more and see what is best for you. So thank you for listening to me, and this was all for the today's Daily Bite. We will see you next week now. Bye.